following a March 2018 parliamentary election, Colombian politician Ida Merlano Robledo won a seat on the country's Senate for the Conservative Party. Discrepancies emerged in the election's immediate aftermath, and Robledo's campaign headquarters were raided by officials from the Directorate of Criminal Investigation and Interpol, who found evidence of a sophisticated voter buy-in network. Through her staff, Robledo, who was 38 years old at the time, had made individual payments of roughly $14 to voters, spending a total of about $527,000 on her campaign, which far exceeded imposed budget limits. Several of her campaign workers were arrested, and in addition to cash, the authorities seized computers and illegally owned firearms from her headquarters. The woman lost her investiture and was charged with corruption of the electorate, conspiracy, weapons possession, and illicit possession of ID cards. In September of 2019, Robledo was sentenced to 15 years in prison by the Supreme Court. Roughly 2 weeks after her sentencing, on October 1st of 2019, Robledo was escorted by a guard for a dentist's appointment at La Sabana Medical Center, located north of Bogota. On that day, Robledo was visited at the center by her social media famous daughter, 19-year-old Ida Victoria, who was accompanied by her teenage brother Esteban Jose Manzanera. The latter was carrying a backpack, which was not searched, and which was later determined to have contained a length of rope. At some point during the doctor's appointment, Robledo caused a scene that resulted in her being left alone in the examination room with her children. Manzanera supplied her with the rope, which she then tied to a table. Surveillance footage would show the disgraced politician then descended into the street from the medical center's third floor. Robledo briefly fell, and concerned bystanders surrounded her, but the woman seemingly ignored them and got onto the back of a motorcycle driven by someone posing as a Rappi delivery driver. Robledo went on the run, and suspicion rapidly fell on her children for aiding in the escape, which generated considerable attention in the country's media, where it was characterized as a movie-like jailbreak. As her mother fled from justice, Ida Victoria capitalized on the attention while facing charges as an accomplice in her escape. She posed nude and in handcuffs on the cover of a magazine with the tagline, "The daughter of the fugitive congresswoman confesses." In January of 2020, Robledo and her romantic partner, Isao Manuel Vargas Silveira, were apprehended by the Venezuelan National Police in Maracaibo, and as of subsequent updates, they were fighting extradition to Colombia. During the 2 years that her trial unfolded, Ida Victoria steadily built on her infamy, becoming a fixture in local tabloids and flaunting her lavish lifestyle to her massive social media following. The added attention was regarded as ultimately detrimental to her legal case, and in September of 2022 she was found guilty of facilitating the escape and for the use of a minor in a crime, given that she'd enlisted her underage brother in the jailbreak. She was ultimately sentenced to 90 months of house arrest. Number 6. Merve Taskin. For her birthday in January of 2020, Turkish social media star Merve Taskin visited a world-famous Amsterdam museum with exhibits primarily focused on the history of intercourse. 23-year-old Taskin, who had close to 600,000 followers on Instagram, subsequently posted several photos and videos from the trip to her social media. The uploaded content included her sitting on a giant sculpture of male genitalia, photos of adult-themed toys, or genitalia-shaped pasta. A few months after returning to her home country, Taskin was arrested and charged under Turkey's obscenity-related Article 226 of the Penal Code. Taskin defended her actions by saying that she'd meant the photos to be a joke within the limits of freedom of expression, adding that she hadn't intended to violate any laws. Human rights organizations, as well as the Amsterdam Museum's director, Monique van Marle, rallied to the influencer's defense, with the latter stating, "We admire you for expressing yourself and posting such pictures." Taskin faced spending 3 years behind bars, but was ultimately handed a 5-month suspended sentence. Number 5. Luke Rockwell. Leading up to the fall of 2023, 29-year-old social media star Luke Rockwell gained considerable attention on TikTok, where he posted as Teacher Luke. Rockwell, originally from Melbourne, Florida, had been teaching at private Christian schools in Bangkok, Thailand, and had amassed a following of over 2 million. In early September of 2023, he was arrested for having relations with a student whom he reportedly infected with STDs. They messaged each other for months before they eventually met up and had intercourse. The teacher told the girl that he loved her and instructed her to keep the relationship and their communication a secret until she turned 18, promising that she would live with him after legally becoming an adult. The victim's mother uncovered the relationship after the teen had become pale and complained of abdominal pain. Tests would reveal that she'd contracted gonorrhea and chlamydia from the teacher. Her mother filed a report with local police on August 29th. The woman later told the media that she wasn't taking action because she sought compensation, but because she wanted every woman and child to know how evil teacher Luke is and to prevent him from taking advantage of anyone else. The victim's mother noted that Rockwell had preyed on the vulnerable and troubled teen who barely spoke Thai, had hardly any friends at school, and naively believed his love declarations. Rockwell was taken into the custody of local authorities and reportedly confessed to the relationship. Number 4. Raquel Dolores Antiola and Melissa Dufour. In the summer of 2023, Raquel Dolores Antiola and Melissa Dufour, aged 34 and 36 respectively, met up in Miami before driving to Houston for a house party and then heading together to Atlanta. Antiola of Van Nuys, California, was a rapper known on social media as Rocky, and she'd amassed a following of over 118,000 on Instagram, while Floridian Dufour was a fitness influencer who owned her own clothing line. On June the 1st, the Ford Expedition in which the duo was traveling was stopped for a traffic violation on Interstate 110 near Mobile, Alabama. During Antiola and Dufour's interaction with law enforcement, a canine unit indicated that drugs were possibly present in the vehicle. Upon closer inspection, officers discovered that the vehicle had been modified with secret compartments, of which they found a vast quantity of cocaine. In total, the police recovered 84 bundles of the drug, which amounted to 216 pounds at an estimated street value of $3 million. Antiola and Dufour, who'd given conflicting reports about their travel plans, were booked at Mobile County Metro Jail on cocaine trafficking charges, and, according to subsequently released information on the matter, the Department of Homeland Security was looking to charge the women at a federal level. Once news of their arrest broke, online users commented on the influencers' recent social media activity and described some of their posts as ironic in hindsight. 2 weeks before her arrest, Dufour had captioned a photo with, "They have no clue who I'm becoming." While mere days prior to being taken into custody, Antiola had written in a photo description, "Feels good being around a woman who's in her bag and not in her feelings, don't it?" Number 3. Irina Volkova. 30-year-old Russian influencer Irina Volkova made international headlines in the fall of 2021 after she was arrested for flashing outside of St. Isaac's Cathedral in St. Petersburg. The Instagram model was separately shown in photos and videos from the summer of 2021, lifting her skirt to reveal her tattooed bottom with the cathedral in the background. A criminal case was opened for Volkova, who was accused of humiliating and insulting the religious feelings of believers. She appeared voluntarily at an office of the Russian Investigative Committee and was detained. In late October, the model apologized profusely in court for the photo shoot, adding, "I went too far as an Instagrammer, and everything will be deleted, and I will not do this again." Volkova was placed under house arrest, as it allowed her to continue caring for her school-aged son while her trial was pending. The social media star reportedly started receiving threats after investigators highlighted her case. She was eventually given 180 hours of community service. Today's topic was requested by Rachel Hammonds 2510 and Ghost Elixir 8182. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Brianna Soares. Instagram influencer Brianna Soares was arrested in the fall of 2021 after launching several drunken attacks on her boyfriend following her recent move from California to Nashville, Tennessee. 27-year-old Soares, a worker for the Department of Children's Services, first beat up her partner, Justin Bennett, on July the 3rd. The influencer had been to multiple bars and had become severely intoxicated. She and Bennett started arguing, and Soares attacked her boyfriend by the time they'd reached his vehicle. She continued her onslaught once they'd returned to their Nashville home, which prompted Bennett to alert the authorities. He was left with cuts, bruises, and other injuries from her striking, scratching, and strangling him. It was reported that she was served with a felony warrant for that incident. After a few months, on October the 23rd, Soares and Bennett went out drinking and another heated verbal altercation ensued. They left the bar separately, and upon meeting back at the house, Soares started throwing things at Bennett and tried to grab his neck. Bennett pushed her away, left the home, and flagged down a passing police car. The officers found that the man had visible injuries on his throat. Soares was arrested and was shown with a black eye in her mugshot. She claimed that Bennett had punched her multiple times in the face during the altercation. The police, however, found no markings on Bennett's hands to suggest he'd struck someone. The influencer's court records indicated she'd been charged with felony and misdemeanor assault, aggravated assault, and domestic bodily injury. Our video on when going viral goes wrong is coming up after number 1 still. Stay tuned if you'd like. Number 1. Nandita Dutta. An Indian adult film actress with over 100,000 followers on Instagram was arrested by Kolkata police in the summer of 2021 for luring women into making adult films with the promise of acting breaks in Bollywood. 2 unnamed victims came forward accusing 30-year-old Nandita Dutta, who was professionally known as Nancy Bobby. One of the victims reported that she'd participated in a nude photo shoot at a studio in Ballygunge, while the other claimed she was made to appear in an adult video at a new town hotel. The women were allegedly coerced by Dutta and her accomplice, 39-year-old Mainak Ghosh, with both of them assuring the victims that their careers would take off following their participation in the adult content. Dutta was arrested in Dum Dum and Ghosh in Naktala. They were charged under 7 Indian Penal Code sections, including the assault or use of criminal force to any woman or abetting such an act with the intention of disrobing or compelling her to be naked. The Bidhanagar Commissionerate stated an intention of interrogating the duo to determine if there were other victims and if they were selling the videos themselves or if they were part of a wider reaching operation. Number 7. Eleanor Ashford and Sarah Kanseri. A pair of 23-year-old lovers from Australia were accused of committing a series of armed robberies across southwest Sydney on the night of March the 26th of 2021. Earlier on the day of the alleged crime spree, the suspects, identified as Eleanor Ashford and Sarah Kanseri, had visited an indoor rock climbing center where they'd reportedly exercised together. At the conclusion of their workout, the couple posed for a photograph while still strapped into their rock climbing harnesses. The picture was uploaded to Kanseri's Instagram account and ultimately went viral online, but only because of the trouble that the women got themselves into later that night. At about 11:45 p.m, the police were called to a service station on Heathcote Road in Moorebank, where 2 thieves armed with axes and knives had reportedly stolen cash and cigarettes. 30 minutes later, the authorities received reports of a second robbery at a gas station in the same Sydney suburb. Then, in the early hours of the following morning, a third instance of cash and cigarettes being stolen from a local service station was reported to the police. Investigators were able to use surveillance footage taken from the crime scenes to identify Ashford and Kanseri as the perpetrators of the 3 robberies. They were remanded into custody and scheduled to appear in Liverpool local court on armed robbery charges. Number 6. Shigeharu Shirai. A retired Japanese crime boss was arrested in January of 2018 after a picture of his Yakuza body tattoos went viral on social media. The suspect, named as Shigeharu Shirai, was reportedly apprehended while shopping in the market town of Lopburi in central Thailand. 72-year-old Shirai had spent the previous 14 years on the run after fleeing his native country of Japan in 2003. He'd subsequently gone to Thailand in order to hide from Japanese authorities, who sought his arrest in connection to the shooting of a rival gang member. Upon his arrival in Thailand, Shirai had married a local woman and transitioned into a seemingly peaceful retirement from organized crime. The police were alerted to the man's possible gang ties after an individual had taken a picture of him with his intricate Yakuza-related tattoos on full display while he was playing a game of street-side checkers. The image was widely circulated online, which led to it gaining the attention of Japanese law enforcement. Thai authorities were then notified of Shirai's criminal past, and he was consequently taken into custody. He reportedly confessed to previously serving as the leader of the Yakuza sub-gang known as Kodakai. It was reported that Thai officials had ordered Shirai to be extradited back to Japan, where he would finally stand trial for the deadly shooting. Number 5. Meera Mithun. In August of 2021, Indian model and actress Meera Mithun was accused of making casteist statements, thereby violating 7 provisions of the Indian Penal Code, as well as the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Prevention of Atrocities Act. In the wake of the allegations, which Mithun denied, she released a video challenging Chennai police to arrest her. Then on August the 14th, officers arrived at her residence to take her into custody after she'd failed to show up for a police inquiry 2 days earlier. During the course of her arrest, Mithun recorded a video of herself in hysterics, accusing the officers of harassment. The clip went viral online, with many viewers mocking the entertainer for what they deemed to be an overreaction on her part. Mithun was taken into custody until the conclusion of her judicial remand, after which she was released on bail. However, in March of 2022, it was reported that she'd absconded from her conditional release and was consequently arrested for a second time. Number 4. James Potok. A WestJet flight from Toronto, Canada to Montego Bay, Jamaica was forced to turn around mid-flight in February of 2020 after a male passenger claimed to have been infected with COVID-19. The man, an aspiring musician from Ontario named James Potok, had begun recording with his camera shortly before standing up and loudly announcing to his fellow travelers that he'd contracted the virus during a recent visit to China. According to a statement made by the Peel Regional Police, once the flight crew was made aware of Potok's claims, they diverted back to Pearson Airport in Toronto. Out of an abundance of caution, the attendants also reportedly sequestered Potok in an isolated space in accordance with protocols made in the event of an infectious disease on board a WestJet aircraft. Upon arriving back in Toronto, Potok was tested for the coronavirus, at which point it emerged that his claims of being infected had been entirely false. He was consequently arrested and charged with mischief and breach of recognizance. In an interview with CBS News the following day, Potok revealed that he'd filmed his mid-air stunt in an attempt to go viral online, noting that as an artist, any publicity is good publicity. He subsequently released an apology video which garnered thousands of views and an overwhelming amount of dislikes. Number 3. Alberto Baez Macinas. In a viral TikTok video uploaded in February of 2022, a man was caught groping a young woman during a Super Bowl party at the Palazzo Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. As was later detailed in subsequent reports, the woman, named as Ariel Lindsay, had angrily confronted the man following the non-consensual contact. While her friends tracked down hotel security, she posted the clip to social media a few days after the incident to raise awareness about what had happened to her and potentially aid the authorities in identifying the male assailant. The latter, 39-year-old Alberto Baez Macinas, reportedly fled the scene before security arrived at the room. Palazzo Hotel officials subsequently used the TikTok video, which upon being uploaded amassed more than 14 million views, to identify Baez Macinas, who was reported as being an employee at the establishment. He was taken into custody, at which time he allegedly confessed to reaching under Lindsay's skirt as she walked past him without her consent. Baez Macinas was consequently arrested for open and gross lewdness and booked into the Clark County Detention Center. Number 2. Mary Hastings. A math teacher at Ozen High School in Beaumont, Texas, was filmed assaulting a student in her geometry class on the morning of April the 8th of 2016. Cell phone footage of the altercation, which went viral upon being posted online, showed 63-year-old Mary Hastings violently slapping the unidentified youth 5 times before mocking him and calling him a derogatory name. According to eyewitnesses, the victim had asked Hastings about a grade, at which point she angrily swiped papers off his desk and launched her attack. She was immediately removed from the classroom and shortly thereafter was taken into police custody, whereupon she was booked into the Jefferson County Jail on assault charges. In the wake of the incident, Hastings was placed on paid administrative leave pending an official investigation by Beaumont Independent School District police and administrators. Then 11 days after the shocking video of the teacher's attack surfaced on the internet, she was terminated from her position, one she'd reportedly held for 3 years. According to an article in the Beaumont Enterprise, the school district also created a disciplinary committee aimed at preventing the kind of disruptions that might spark similar incidents in the future. Number 1. Stephen Heyer. At about 7 a.m. on June the 28th of 2020, surveillance cameras captured a fatal altercation between two men outside a home in the 1400 block of West Lunt Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. The video, which went viral in the wake of the incident, showed Stephen Heyer, aged 26, loitering on the sidewalk before suddenly pulling out a firearm and shooting 36-year-old Angelo Pullum in the back of the head at point-blank range. Subsequent reports on the matter indicated that the victim was killed instantly. A witness watched as Heyer allegedly fled into a black Jeep with the gun still in his hands and then came upon Pullum's lifeless body on the pavement. The following day, officers with the city's police department were dispatched to Heyer's Chicago Housing Authority residence. The suspect reportedly ran when the police arrived, eventually forcing his way into a nearby home, where he hid in a room on the second floor. The occupants of the house, who didn't know Heyer, allowed officers inside to arrest him. Upon taking the man into custody, the police reportedly found in his possession a plastic bag filled with illegal substances, as well as a backpack that contained his birth certificate, other personal items, and a loaded handgun. Heyer, a thrice convicted felon, was consequently charged with first-degree murder, criminal trespass to a residence, and possessing a controlled substance. Although the authorities didn't reveal an explicit motive behind Pullum's slaying, it was later detailed how Heyer had a personal relationship with the victim. Furthermore, the two men had reportedly exchanged 12 phone calls in the hour leading up to the shooting, indicating that there was likely some sort of tension present between them. Thanks for watching. Would you rather be rich for a month or famous for a year? Let us know in the comments section below.